Hey guys, it is me. I am the man, and I'm recording. I am recording Timespinner because that's what the cool boys are doing. Yeah, I have no idea. I just recorded a bunch of footage at like 2 a.m. one night, and because I honestly should have been in bed, but like I was having like, I don't know, maybe a panic attack or not. It's something, not really a panic attack. I don't know. I just don't want to talk about it. But well, geez, don't bring it up then. I'm playing Timespinner. Yeah, this is like a 30-minute, just like slog fest of like me playing this game and like messing around. Cause like last time we got the ability to travel between times, and then I pretty much just stopped. So now we can like explore and do more stuff, and just see where we haven't gone yet. We can level up against some of these beginner enemies. Oh, we haven't been through here yet, and maybe this was one of the places that I opened up because I like burned the bushes in the future, or vines, or moss, or whatever you want to call these things. Meteor sparrow, okay, but they're totally not just like chozos from... They're totally chozos. My voice is kind of messed up because like, I've been like screaming, and I had coffee too, and I didn't like refill my water bottle. And like I've been like screaming and like talking and like singing for like the last half hour. I've been crazy. I had coffee and then I just kind of went crazy, you know? But yeah, here we are back in sort of Lower Brinstar, because everything must be compared to either Vania or Metroid. We must make that same joke about John Gaiden and Ray Troyd that they made in the beginning of The Messenger. Speaking of which, I would like to go back and replay The Messenger someday. That was a really solid game. It hasn't gotten a lot of good reviews on YouTube, but that's mostly because like the Metroidvania part of The Messenger isn't as good as some other Metroidvanias because it's a little awkward at times, but it's still good. They only complained about it because it wasn't great, but they're like expecting great, you know, from every Metroidvania. And as like a retro platformer with Ninja Gaiden style mechanics, The Messenger is absolutely great. Like I wouldn't call it a good game, I would call it a great game, like absolutely, no question. You know, because if you play enough games, you can tell the difference. And sometimes it's not even about how well executed, like how smooth the mechanics are, or how good the graphics are, or, you know, if the developer is like some little team from Canada, or... Oh, that's interesting. I think I did the attack, and then I was like... Here I was like, how do I get up there? And then I was like, Steve Carell as Gru. But then I just froze time, and that's how you do it. I am Steve Carell, I'm Gru, and now this is the part where I say it's Gruin time. And that's my favoritest part of the movie. Yeah, my favorite movie's Elsa. My favorite movie's Frozen. I like Anna and Elsa. Oh wow, look at that flock of birds over there. Reminds me of a scene from my favorite movie. The Movie. Hey, that's your favorite movie too, right? Yo, my favorite movie's Frozen. I like Elsa and Anna. Okay, now I kill you. Wow, that's great pick choice for favoriteest movie. I wonder if I have to think that now. Now I get to be the giant rat. Cool, surprise. I did a project for school. Basically, because one of my friends dared me to, based on Rat Movie Mystery, The Mayan Treasure, but we're probably not gonna do it. I don't know. I just can't see myself gathering a bunch of people to like rehearse and put on a version of Rat Movie, like seriously. like with a straight face, and I can't imagine the audience understanding a lick of it, which I don't know. I don't want to just put all that time and rehearsal into something that like people are just gonna be like, huh? That what? Why were you singing about rats? I don't get it. It's like only gonna be funny to the people who have seen Rat Movie. And I admit, I do have a classmate here who's seen Rat Movie and even has like a sticker on his water bottle from the video, which is like why I know that he's a fan of Rat Movie. It's a whole thing. I don't know why I'm talking about Rat Movie.
Sergeant Squitchy Scratch of the Cat Police are here. You are now relieved of your duty. Oh, thank you, officer. Thank you. Your duty will not go unnoticed. What's that on you? Are you wearing a rat on your shoulder? Boss, we got a big problem. It's the Cat Police are here.
Hey, welcome to the Rat Cafe. There's no rats here. There's just hamburgers.
That would be nice if it were true. Except it isn't. You're a rat, aren't you?
No. Why would that be? We're just people.
And I'm gonna be taking you in.
Wouldn't it be funny if this were real? Just kidding. Be careful though. There's apparently a giant rat on the loose. I did that as a very kind of Ed Wynn voice, and that was kind of interesting. Ed Wynn, I believe, was the Mad Hatter in the original Disney Alice in Wonderland. And he's just, his voice has become kind of a Disney-like character trope. Like he had a comedy routine called The Perfect Fool or something. Remember Red Skelton? I used to watch some Red Skelton when I was younger. I haven't thought about him in a minute. And he had a kind of Charlie Chaplin-ish character. Like, I remember when we all used to laugh at homeless people and say, like, oh, homeless people are so funny. Man, the 50s were so funny. It's like back in the 2000s, like, everything was politically incorrect humor. Like, it was like Family Guy, South Park. I mean, Family Guy was more politically correct than South Park, but it was still just like off. Just kind of left a bad taste in your mouth. I don't know, I never watched those growing up. Basically because I had Christian parents, and I grew up Christian. And I'm maybe trying to return to Christianity, I don't know. I can't decide. My heart is remaining silent on the issue. Christianity is not something I think about, like, on a daily basis. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't curse. Except I've made a kind of a habit about cursing. Oh, but this is... my original tangent was about how there was so much politically incorrect humor in the early 2000s, and even in the 90s, which I think, like, we have kind of a bad taste for in our mouth. Like, I was just watching Jeff Dunham and his routine, like Ahmed, the dead terrorist, and it's like, it's kind of funny because it's performed very well, but it's like, imagine 2022, like, saying like, oh, you have a ventriloquist dummy that's a dead terrorist, and it's basically just, I don't know, it doesn't fly because we have to, you know, it's like, you just have to think about, like, the Islamic people in your audience. Like, you can't just say anything anymore. You have to always think about everyone in your audience. I don't know. I always my rule of thumb is, like, you know, like, you shouldn't make jokes about, like, STDs, for example, because, like, STDs, you can die from an STD. So, like, if you can die from it, like, if it involves death, then you probably don't want to make a joke about it. You know, if it involves the trauma of somebody else, then probably don't make a joke about it. But there are, you know... are still gray areas, but like then what about like, well, if it's your own trauma and you need a way to process it and you're not offending yourself, then it's still your story. It needs to be told. I don't know. But don't joke about the trauma of somebody else or somebody else's death if you can. If they died in an ironic fashion, then maybe you can make a joke about it then, but like still you should be careful. Oh boy. Chever springtime, yay. Oh my god, it's November, but it's like sunny out. Except for today. Today was like gray and gloomy and all the ravens. There's so many ravens in Baltimore. Like, like once it gets to nighttime in autumn, you just look up in the sky and it's like black. It's like, ah, 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 ah. At first I thought the football team was named after the Poe story. I'm like, oh, isn't that so funny? Like, Baltimore is obsessed with Edgar Allan Poe. I'm like, no. There just are that many ravens in the sky. It's insane. I've never seen this before. So that's pretty cool. What else? This song is so epic. I love this song. So I think now we're gonna keep on triangling. Which I tried to tell my dad keep on triangling as a way to like sign off the phone call. I was like, I always mutter like totally incomprehensible nonsense and expect my parents to get it, but keep on triangling is like a reference to a strong bad email, and I thought it would be funny. Because like keep on trucking is a pretty... Oh, here, watch me suck at platforming. Just, ugh, this section is so hard to watch. I'm so glad I'm not like a speedrunner of this game. Although I should try and train to be. Just like stop sucking at this game. Like, dude, how hard can it be? I'm honestly like, sometimes I'm recording this game and I'm just like embarrassed. Like, dude, I'm getting hit by every enemy. I'm missing every platform. Why do people even watch Helium Lemon? And it's like, well, the people like I heard a saying, and I must have been in like high school or middle school when I heard this, but I just overheard some old ladies talking to each other, and one of them said, well, there's a saying, the ones who mind don't matter, and the ones who matter don't mind. And I was like, wow, let me hold on to that and treasure that for the rest of my life. So yay, we made it successfully across the movie. Oh, and then we stood on the spikes. I'm like, okay, you should be able to stand on those spikes because they're flat on the top, and sure enough, you can. It's the stupidest thing. But I was lucky because I caught myself. I don't know if there's that much more we can do in the Barn de Grey library. Because we need more access cards. We also need the double jump. I hope that's not a spoiler because we will be eventually getting a... Oh, here's where I sold stuff instead of buying stuff. It's really stupid and embarrassing, and you should skip this part. So... Nitrorad, who's my favorite video game reviewer, and also basically me, and also basically my spirit animal, did a Halloween-themed video, although it came out late. It came out on November 3rd, and I was like, how dare you, James? No, it's fine. I love James, and he puts out such high-quality videos, so if you need to take a couple extra days, hell yeah, go for it. He did a video on a weird Dreamcast. I sound like that Paul F. Tompkins video where he's talking about his first interaction with Weird Al Yankovic, and he's like going over to the next room to tell him to be quieter, and he's like, Weird! Come on, Weird! And like Al is like, I'm sorry, man. And Paul F. Tompkins is like overreacting, but he's like trying to make Weird Al laugh. And he's like not even calling him Al, he's calling him Weird. Anyway, it was a game called Illbleed for the Dreamcast, and it was like this like campy, shitty, like comedy survival horror game that was like unnecessarily like gruesome and horrifying and hilarious. It's about I don't even want to. It's about like this teenage girl whose like dad was obsessed with building like haunted house type attractions, so he built like this giant theme park of horror that has like 5 themed sections, and one of them is like your basic ass haunted house. One of them is like a murder mystery about like more of like a supervillain type kind of dude. One of them is like a morgue, I think. One of them is a haunted department store. And one of them is just a parody of Toy Story, but mixed with Indiana Jones. But, like, the game is, like, very violent and also very raunchy, and also just, like, has a lot of, like, drug references. Like, I swear, like, marijuana is one of the healing items in the game. It's, like, it's so stupid. Also, like, porn is one of the healing items in the game. It's so stupid, and it's great, and I love it. And the way you have to get the good ending is so contrived and stupid and really stupid. And if... Oh yeah, and Sonic the Hedgehog is in the game. It's a Dreamcast game, so of course there are going to be Sega references. There's also like the voices of Sonic and Rouge from Sonic Adventure. The voice actors, I mean, are in it also, which is kind of hilarious to me, as it should be. God, I'm super caffeinated and now I'm getting sleepy. I'm starting to crash, and I'm hoping my computer doesn't crash. Which happened the other day. My computer, like, the battery died during a lecture, but it was like an optional lecture, and I had heard most of it already. And, like, I was super sleepy. Because, like, we were in the library, and, like, I was sleepy already, but, like, the sunlight was streaming in and making the table all warm. I don't know. Something about, like, warmth and sunlight. Like, we're all like cats. Like, deep down inside. All we want to do is lay down in the warm sun. Like, that's why I like cool breezes, because they feel, like, invigorating. They kind of, like, wake you up a little bit and make your skin tingle. I don't actually like warm sunshine. Unless it's after, like, you know, like, winter, like, terrible wind chill, like, you know, 30 miles an hour winds. Then, of course, give me all the sunshine you got. But I'm sure everyone feels that way. Speaking of Jeff Dunham, that's a whole routine about, like, Green Bay, Wisconsin in February with a wind chill of -30, and the people are like, we love it here. A bunch of frozen dumbasses. He's talking about Arizona. He's like, it was 112 for 3 days in a row. And the locals are like, it's a dry heat. A bonfire's a dry heat, and you don't see me sticking my ass into it. Anyway, so we actually have the option to go from present to past at any of these warp points. It's also not only a warp from past to present, but it's a warp to any of those thingies on the map. And yes, thingies. Thingy is the official term. And we're gonna go from thingy over to thingy, because my name is Quandale Dingle, wise mystical tree, and Hank, you're a real sussy baka. Now Walter, you're being a real sussy baka, and we don't want to go to Lake Serene. God, when are we gonna be able to swim? Like, I love how I'm like the worst Let's Player ever, because like instead of like leaving it a mystery, like, oh man, we can't explore this area with a lot of water. I wonder why. And like actual good Let's Players would like, you know, do that convincingly and like keep it a surprise so that if you're watching the game for the first time, you would actually be surprised. It's like, oh, there's swimming in this game. Oh, there's other characters with other abilities in this game. Me, I'm just like impatient. I'm like, come on, we gotta complete this game. We gotta finish this area. When am I gonna get this other characters? Like, when the heck is it gonna happen? Because it's been 2 years since I played the game and I forgot. Because I played like 100 million other games since then. I beat a point-and-click game called If on a Winter's Night for Travelers. It was really dark and really good. But my only complaint about it was that If on a Winter's Night for Travelers, you play as 3 characters. I was expecting 4 chapters, each chapter focusing on a different character, and there are only 3. Like, am I stupid? Like, like any normal person would assume that from a title like If on a Winter's Night for Travelers. I don't care if it's a literary reference, if you're quoting Emily Dickinson, if you're quoting Henry David Thoreau, I don't care what it is. If it's 3 characters, at least make that clear from the title so I'm not expecting a 4th chapter.
These kiddos in their game design, let me tell you, back in the day, Ulysses S. Grant, he was showing me all these video games on his Nintendo Game Boy, and let me tell you, you got 3 continues, and you had to make do with 2 colors, black and gray, although it was probably the absence of color because gray was just the normal color of the screen on the Game Boy. Actually, it was a bit green. Actually. I love doing this old man voice. I'm just a generic grumpy old guy. They call me king. I'm the king of the mine carts.
If anybody's played Pajama Sam, I can't remember, because the first time I played Pajama Sam, No Need to Hide When It's Dark Outside, I heard King the Minecart's voice, and it was that kind of grumpy old man voice, and I was like, oh my god, it's the same voice actor as killing 2 enemies at the same time with a giant sword and getting a level up off of it. That's pretty badass. Anyway, of course I thought, I was like, oh my god, that's the same voice actor as Ford Cruller, which would make sense because Ron Gilbert and Tim Schafer work together, but I don't actually know. I forgot if I actually checked, or if it was impossible to check. There wasn't actually enough information. Anyway, now that the drawbridge is down, we're in a totally new area, and this is definitely more the Castlevania side of this game. There's a lot of sort of epic castles and dungeons that we get to explore, and it definitely doesn't feel like we're in outer space anymore, but we're more like we're in fantasy, sort of like Assassin's Creed medieval castle type land. I love discovering music on YouTube, and I love that medieval dungeon synth is like a genre of music. It's cool. Like, definitely there's some great album titles and album art in the land of dungeon synth. It's a little bit boring for me because it's very minimal and the chords are very basic and it's kind of droney. Aw, poor guy. Maybe I shouldn't have killed him. Nah. But Theo, this says bake for 3 minutes. Bake for 3 minutes? Nah. I once rode an elevator with... I don't remember his name, but he's one of the guys, I think, who's been the voice and puppeteer of Theo on Between the Lines. Who else was in that same elevator ride? Because I know the dude... Is his name Lance or Lester or something? It's like the dude who plays Bear from Bear in a Big House. It's a bear in a big blue house. That's one show I grew up watching VHS tapes, and there were always ads for that show. But I never actually got the chance to watch that show. And I love Between the Lions. I love Fraggle Rock. So I love Muppet Show. I even love Alf, as corny as that old show is, but that's not a Jim Henson show, but you get the gist. Bear in the Big Blue House isn't Jim Henson, but it's Jim Henson Company. So, you know, somebody affiliated with Jim Henson came up with the idea, which is kind of like, how Between the Lions is, Catherine Muller and, what's her husband's name? Catherine Muller's husband. Anyway, they're both people that worked with Jim Henson pretty closely, and they're the ones who came up. Not Catherine Muller, Catherine Mullen, but you know what I mean. Who are the ones who came up with Between the Lions and got it on Mississippi Public TV, I think. Ugh. This is fun. This is what happens when I have a coffee right before recording commentary. I'm just like I'm so scatterbrained. It's like I'm drinking caffeine makes me basically like a 5-year-old in the back of a car. Like you're so excited, but like your senses are deprived, and like you don't know what to do with yourself. Castle Keep 38 AE. This is a super epic and badass area. Super Castlevania. And here are backer portraits, so that's kind of fun, but we don't really give a shit because I wasn't one of the... That's just a bird. You're not telling me a bird donated to Kickstarter and it was like, oh, I want to play a video game. See, birds don't have opposable okay, I'll shut up. That rant wasn't even very funny. There was a very contrived bit. Speaking of bits, there's that video that came out, and I love anything. Vinesauce Joel is like my favorite person on the planet. Just like anything he does cracks me up and makes me giggle. I just love how childish he is. But there was like that video of Vinny doing an impression of Joel, and then Joel reacting. And it's like Vinny playing this stupid Halloween game, and he's like, right there is the murder house. Let's go check it out. And then he just cracks up. He's like, oh my god, I did not just do a perfect Joel impression. I hope Joel won't be upset. And then Joel watches the video, and like, before Vinny even says anything, Joel is like pausing the video and commenting on it and being like, Vinny's impression is either gonna be like, oh my god, haha, Swedish man, or like, nothing, or like, Russian. And it's like hilarious. Because he like has no faith that Vinny's not gonna be able to do an accurate impression. Anyway, that was this week's episode of Timespinner. I hope you had a good chuckle out of it, and I'll see you in the next one for more kicks and giggles. Goodbye, take care.